Hey guys, on today's show we're going to talk about purchasing game cameras. Hey everybody, Dave Knetter here from Knetter's Practical Outdoors. And I know a lot of you guys out there, you're like me, you've accumulated a few game cameras over the years. You kind of know the features that you're looking for. You of course know the amount of money you can spend on them, that sort of thing. But there might be a few of you guys out there are thinking about maybe buying your first game camera. And I thought maybe I'd share some of my experiences buying game cameras with you. Maybe a few of the things to look for when you're buying one, maybe a few of the things to watch out for when you're buying one. So one thing I can say about buying a game camera in this day and age is, all the models are really pretty decent cameras. But that wasn't always the case. When they first started making them, they were terrible on batteries. They would just eat up batteries like crazy. The triggers were just terrible. I had some models of cameras. You'd set them up and you could walk back and forth in front of it a bunch of times. It wouldn't even take your picture, so you had no idea what it was taking pictures of, what it wasn't taking pictures, It was kind of crazy. And then, I don't know if you guys can really remember this, but the very first game cameras to come out were actually 35 millimeter film. Think about that. Think about using film in your game camera. Those were hideous. Just absolutely hideous. My buddy Scott, who I hunt with out at the camp, he had one. And, he had it set up at his blind at the camp. We'd go out there every weekend, leading up to deer season. We'd check it. And, every weekend, of course, the batteries would be dead. So he'd have to change the batteries. And I think the model he had, took 16 D-sized batteries, something crazy like that. So, it'd be like, he'd have to put 2 packs of these in the thing every weekend. And then you got to change the film, right? You got to put new film in it. And then you got to go get the film developed. It's hard to even talk about it. And, so then I'd see him the next weekend. We'd go back out the next week and be like, hey, how many buck pictures were on your camera, And usually it was 12 pictures of the sun rising, maybe 10 squirrel pictures, and 2 pictures of the same doe. If you had a 24 exposure film in there. So that was just really not good at all. And, and you think about it, between the batteries, the film, and the developing, I think Scott was doling out $30 a week just to keep this camera in the woods taking pictures. So, like I say, those were just terrible, terrible cameras. We are all in a much better place when it comes to game cameras these days. So, keep this in mind. When you're in the sporting goods store, and you got all these cameras, that you're looking at, you're trying to decide which one to buy. Just remember, there's a lot of marketing strategies that are trying to influence you. There's a lot of product placement as far as accessories for your camera, that are there to influence you on what you're going to buy. And a really good example of this is there's a game camera out right now that's endorsed by Justin Bieber. And, I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's sort of heart shaped, and it comes in pink camo. And I know some of you guys are like, well, what? 12-year-old girls don't buy game cameras. And typically speaking, they don't. But their dads do. So, if you're a dad, you might be in there and you see this and you're like, oh yeah, I had no idea what to get my little girl for her birthday. And here it is, the Justin Bieber Big Buck Paparazzi game camera. And, I kind of recommend against it. The resolution is not very high on that. It's a pretty expensive camera. And then, the pink camo is, not really that stealthy out in the woods. Yeah, so I'd kind of recommend against that. Yeah, that Justin Bieber, his marketing empire knows no boundaries. You know, another marketing strategy that takes place in the game camera aisle is they'll have like the batteries for the game cameras right there, you know, on the same aisle. You know, which is good. It's kind of a reminder that you're going to need batteries, so pick them up. But I would recommend that you do not spend the extra money and get the camouflage batteries. You know, I did that one time. I think the kind I bought were like, they were called like game camera stealth batteries or something. And yeah, they were twice as expensive as like these Duracells, and they probably lasted about half as long. You know, I don't know, it seemed like a good idea in the store to get camouflage batteries, but then you know, then I got home, and when I was putting them in the camera, yeah, it just didn't really seem to make any sense at that point. So do not spend the extra money on the camouflage batteries. Also, don't bother buying the scent-free SD cards. In my opinion, they're really just not worth the extra money. I know, you know, a lot of the pro hunters are real big on the scent-free SD cards, but you know what I've been doing, I just take like one of these just regular SD cards, and I'll just wipe a little bit of scent eliminator on it, you know, like you spray on your boots before you go out hunting, and I really think the results are just the same. Another example of a real blatant marketing strategy is with this one camera that I bought. It, you know, it was a fairly cheap camera, but it came with a free Mega Rack caramel apple right in the same package. You know, it was like, I don't know, it just looked like a regular caramel apple to me, but apparently it was this Mega Rack, you know, like for deer caramel apple. And, you know, it said right in the instructions, you know, you just kind of plunk it down in the ground in front of your camera, and then, you know, like a Mega Rack comes along, and then, you know, you get its picture, right? But the problem with that is now your camera smells like a caramel apple. And, you know, here in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, you know, we got a lot of black bears running around. And if you got a camera that smells like a caramel apple, a bear's going to try and eat it, and that's exactly what happened to me. Here's the camera that got chewed up by that bear. You know, this is the one that was packaged with that Mega Rack caramel apple. You can see that the door is just busted right off. Teeth marks, chew marks everywhere, busted the switches. But the weird thing is that bear got into here and it actually stole the SD card right out of it. So that was kind of weird. So I think what happened, you know, is that bear finally realized it wasn't a caramel apple, and you know, he's like, hey, this is a camera, taking my picture without permission. Just gonna Sean Penn this camera, you know, and I think that's why he took the SD card. So, you know, and then the marketing side of it is, you know, what do you think I did? I'm back to the sporting goods store buying another camera. So I highly recommend that you do not get the camera with the free Mega Rack caramel apple with it. It's just not a good idea. So, you know, there's a few tips on, you know, buying game cameras. Keep these things in mind. And also, you know, hunt, fish, laugh, repeat. This is Dave Knetter from Knetter's Practical Outdoors. Thanks for watching, and God bless.